Good evening. This is a regular City Commission meeting for the City of Largo. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask that if you have a cell phone, please turn it to silent or off so that we don't have any interruptions. I'd ask you to please rise, and we're going to have a moment of silence in light of the fact that Memorial Day is coming up. Please take a moment of silence and let us pause to reflect and honor and remember those we have lost. Thank you. Now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. We have two ceremonial items today. The first is Older Americans Month proclamation.
Whereas Older Americans Month is observed nationally each May as a time to recognize and honor the contributions of older adults, highlight aging trends, and reaffirm our commitment to serving these individuals, and whereas the City of Largo includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, wisdom, and experience to our community, and whereas the City of Largo benefits when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently, and whereas we recognize the need to create a community that offers services and supports older adults who may need to make choices about how they age, and whereas the City of Largo remains dedicated to empowering, aging, and educating and encouraging older adults to prepare and plan for the future while actively participating in the present, now therefore I, Woody Brown, Mayor of the City of Largo, Florida, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Older Americans Month in the City of Largo and urge residents to recognize and celebrate our older citizens and the people who support them as essential contributors to the strength of our community.
Thank you. My name is Carrie Marcelic. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Area Agency on Aging, and I'm delighted to be here tonight. Thank you so much for participating in this proclamation recognizing the older adults in our community, and we are delighted whenever we can come to Largo. It's really a wonderful, remarkable city, and what you all do for your older residents and your commitment to serving them is demonstrated every day, and we are grateful for that. Our agency provides programs and funds programs like homemaker services, caregiver services, congregate dining, meals, transportation for seniors to doctor's appointments and dining sites. Last year we served almost 64,000 older adults through our programs, and we provided more than 742 meals to seniors. We also provided over 50,000 transportation trips for seniors in our community. And our wait list is extensive, and we just wanted to share that our funding, the primary funding, is the Federal Older Americans Act, and unfortunately it is pending as of right now. And that's something to know that with the funding that we have, if we're not able to receive the funding going forward, we would not be able to serve as many seniors in our community. So I just encourage you, if this matters to you, just get involved and learn about the issue. Reach out to our agency if you need more information. But I just wanted to thank you all so much for participating in this proclamation and recognizing and serving the older adults in Largo. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear about our employees of the quarter.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to celebrate our team members of the quarter. The first one is Logan Ward, police officer with the police department. So he was actually nominated 3 different times, but I picked the best one to read for tonight. You can guess who it is. Officer Ward has been with the Largo Police Department since 2016. Officer Ward has embarked on a creative journey to assist victims of domestic violence. When offenders are taken into custody for domestic violence-related charges, a no-contact order is issued at first appearance between the offender and the victim. One would be surprised on how many people violate the judge's orders. While the offenders are in custody at the Pinellas County Jail, the inmates' phone calls are recorded but not monitored. Officer Ward proactively conducts research into domestic violence arrests and reviews the offender's phone calls to ensure compliance with the no-contact orders. Offenders found in violation are charged with violation of pretrial release and incur an additional charge or are taken back into custody if they've already been released. Officer Ward has completed 106 charges for violation of pretrial release since January of 2024. This is completed entirely in addition to Officer Ward's regularly assigned duties and shows Officer Ward's passion and creativity in helping victims of domestic violence. Furthermore, Officer Ward has collaborated with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office to a 100% filing rate. These efforts ensure compliance with the judge's no-contact order and help protect victims from being harassed, stalked, or in some cases physically hurt. For these reasons, I nominate Officer Ward to be team member of the quarter. Congratulations. All right, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Okay. The next team member of the quarter is Jennifer Getchell from engineering. Come on up. Jennifer demonstrated a superior level of integrity and passion for cybersecurity. While processing a contractor's monthly invoice, she detected a slight change in the billing email address from .com to .org and immediately notified the contractor. Her actions prevented a loss of $150,000 in city funds. As a result of her prowess, the contractor filed a report with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, and this crime is currently under investigation. Both assistant city managers have recognized Jennifer's exceptional attention to detail and the savings of a substantial amount of money. On behalf of the citizens of the City of Largo and the entire City of Largo, we thank you for being our frontline cyber fraud warrior. Congratulations. Our next team member of the quarter is Mary McBroom, Property and Evidence Specialist with the PD. Mary has been nothing but a pleasure to work with. Her knowledge and expertise that she's received in the Communications Center has been a tremendous help in property and evidence. We so often deal with difficult people, but she always demonstrates good communication skills and is willing to help others no matter the issue. Even when face-to-face with angry citizens, she keeps it calm and positive, which helps with a positive outcome. Recently, we had 4 large cases with over 700 items of evidence submitted. These types of cases can be chaotic and overwhelming. Being the dedicated team player that she is, she remained positive and efficient in getting the evidence logged in and ready to be submitted to the labs. While she has a demanding job that requires a lot of time and attention, she still finds the time to volunteer for the CARE and peer teams. Mary is always professional and courteous when dealing with the public, citizens, and attorneys, and has formed good relationships. I've even received a few calls from attorneys who rave about her exceptional experience. An attorney recently called to say that he wanted to compliment Property and Evidence Specialist Mary McBroom. He had what he thought was a difficult discovery/evidence issue, and she handled it in no time with ease and professionalism. Mary is not only a great asset to the Property and Evidence Unit and Largo Police, but to the City of Largo as well. Congratulations. And last but not least, Mr. LaRon Roberts, solid waste driver. Come on up. I would like to nominate solid waste driver LaRon Roberts for team member of the quarter. Despite walking through a life-threatening personal health journey that includes kidney dialysis treatments, LaRon continues to serve the Largo community as a solid waste driver and claw truck operator. LaRon is now on the kidney donor waiting list and is seeking a living donor with O-positive blood type to help save his life. Even through this adversity, however, he remains committed to providing superior services to Largo residents. His efforts have been particularly impactful during the recovery of Largo's storm events, as he helped collect and clear storm debris left behind Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Despite his illness, he continues to show up for work and put forth his best effort. Even on days where it would be easy to call out sick, he pushes himself and stays positive and comes to work to help his fellow team members. LaRon's courage and dedication also embodies the spirit of community service during his personal journey toward finding a kidney donor. To raise awareness about his need and inspire action to support those living with kidney disease, LaRon also showed great courage and passion by sharing his story with the community. His passion for his role and our community is exceptional. Congratulations.
Thank you. Next is citizens' comment. If you'd like to speak about something else on the agenda outside the consent docket, please wait until an item comes up. Do we have any cards this evening?
Yes, I have 5 cards. First is Thomas Garrett. He's in the audience, but I'm going to read his remarks. City Commission members, I would like to know what I'm doing wrong. I was told that I needed to contact City Commission members. Because of my disability, I'm not able to call on the telephone, so I sent emails. I have sent many emails to various commission members and office officials and have not received any response from them. I did get one response that said, I understand that you would like to meet with city staff upon request from a commissioner. I can help you set that up. Can you tell me what is the topic and or concern? I did respond to that email with the information that was requested. I didn't get any further response. What do I need to do to talk to someone? And the next speaker is Greg Gardner.
Well, Mr. Gardner's coming up. We have contact information
Yes.
for that first speaker. Yeah, we'll definitely get in touch with you.
Good evening. I am an elder. Here is my wisdom. Largo is predatory on our seniors. They are not benevolent. Over the course of 5 years, Largo foreclosed on 44 people's private property. Of that, 80% were elders over the age of 62. As of today, the city of Largo was summoned from a national law firm called Pacific Legal Foundation. It is DJB Reynolds LLC versus the city of Largo. This is a very, very big deal. It will cost you $250,000 to defend yourselves against your predatory actions. DJB's property was worth $1 million. He was in full compliance all the way through, but you gamed the system, rigged the courts, rigged the rules, rigged everything, stole this property for a mere $99,500. I don't want to go into too much more because Zimmet's going to downplay it and he's going to dismiss it. It's not. It's serious. This one is. And we waited a long time for this, by the way. Equally, Pacific Legal Foundation has a large media team to make sure that the abuse on our elders goes to the local and national news outlets. So we will all learn about this publicly. It's going to be a very hard pill to swallow. I studied about half these foreclosure cases very closely. Chase would like to say that 23 were settled. These people were extorted. And there's many flavors of extortion, but this was abuse of authority. And I have a hard time believing he'd be that ignorant, but he was led by Attorney Zimmet. Now, Zimmet likes to say he has no part of it. He was the key orchestrator in this theft on our elders. cases like the Charles Hand case, Gail Hans took over that case. She had connections with the mayor, and she just got the golden glove treatment and was able to save her property. Judges were paid off at 20%. The whole gig is a bunch of master mason judges that we discovered. Largo literally rewrote Chapter 702, the laws that govern foreclosure. They never stated their damage values because there was no damage. And I was persecuted, so was Attorney Ben Hillard. Anyways, I want to bring this up to your attention that it is predatory and it's very serious. And I look forward to being a part of this. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Craig Murtha.
Good evening. Craig Murtha, Largo. I'm an elder also, but I don't have that much wisdom to share. But I do have a little experience with oak trees. I talked about those last week, and I wasn't perfectly clear last week. I talked about that I had planted probably 60 trees that I think 59 of them came from Clearwater over the years, and planted them in several different addresses over the years. And but one of them failed. But what I didn't say last week, because I was trying to be tactful, is the only one tree that failed came from a Largo tree giveaway about 15 years ago after I had moved to Largo. And it was a tall tree, taller than the Clearwater trees, as I mentioned last week, much taller than the little tree I brought in last week. Was about 2.5 foot tall, and that pot was about a 3-gallon pot, which probably isn't really 3 gallons, but that's what they call them, 3-gallon pots. But so the tree I got from Largo, as I said, was very root bound, and I cut it as much as I thought I got every single circling root, but there was some in the interior. You know, sometimes on the native tree Facebook page, they're advocating for completely washing out the roots when you get a larger tree. When I say a larger tree, even 5 foot tall, that's for an oak tree. That's a tree that wants to probably have a 5 foot wide diameter root system. So in a little pot like that, it's going to be circling and circling and circling. So anyhow, on the native plant Facebook page, they're advocating for completely washing out the roots, which I've never done that. That just seems extreme, but that's what the trend seems to be for people that really know what they're doing. But for me, I just like to use small trees. One time I got a tree, I was potting up a plant, I was using some soil from outside, and I didn't realize there was an acorn in there. And but acorn popped, and I had a little tree about that big. So I thought, I'm going to plant this, see what happens. I put that in the ground, and within 10 years, I had a 20-foot tree. These trees, the smaller the tree is, the more, for whatever reason, they seem to establish more quickly, they establish better, they don't have root problems. They're just much higher success ratio. And there are people, I think, in the industry that'll tell you the opposite, but they're selling trees too. So I think if there's just think there's extreme benefits to going as small as possible. And if we went with smaller trees, I'm talking about little guys like 1 foot, they would be much less expensive, and we can give away many more. This way, we could be like a sea turtle. They have 1,000 babies for one to survive. If we gave away trees at every city event, at Ulmer Park, at 4th of July, if there's going to be a city employee there from the Parks Department, if they just had a little stand with some trees, if we could just give them away every single month through the rainy season, through the winter, we would get a lot more in the ground, and over time, we would get a lot more canopy for, I think, a lot less money and a lot more efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jonathan Vasquez.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and speak here today. Today, I come here to represent the Suncoast Police Benevolent Association. We're the union that represents the Largo police officers. We do their contracts, and we're their collective bargaining unit. I want to talk about an incident that occurred on Sunday that miscategorized our officers, my members. Again, I'm speaking on behalf of the Suncoast PBA, not on behalf of Largo Police Department. So our members interacted with Commissioner Smith on Sunday. I'm not going to talk about the incident, what occurred on camera. That can be viewed on public record or via public record request. What I want to talk about is what occurred afterwards. After he was released from his holding, he made gross miscategorization of what occurred and what officers did or did not do. He showed himself with injuries, posted it on Facebook, and said he has a new mistrust for the police department. Anybody here would insinuate that that shows that he said that police officers brutalized him, beat him up, caused him injury. That absolutely did not occur. The issue I have with that, other than it being a bold-faced lie, is that you could potentially now sow mistrust within the community that these police officers put their lives on the line for every single day and keep safe. This is a commission who has a vote on our contract, on our benefits, on our raises, on our future as a police department. This distrust could mean the safety of our officers. This could put them in danger. This could put them in harm's way, in more harm's way than what they already face on a daily basis. This was a commissioner that we once endorsed, that we once supported, but I don't see after those actions how anybody could support this commissioner, especially somebody who represents the police department. I understand he's made statements. I appreciate your statements that you've made. I do believe that your statements are sincere. We are a show-me group of men and women. I hope your actions speak louder than your words. I hope you truly go word for word and clarify the lies that you said. This is not an attack on your person. I understand, what occurred happens all the time, but again, the men and women that would risk their lives for you and who treated you with great respect that day deserve better from this commission. I thank you guys for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Matthew Faustini.
Matt Faustini, 1015.
Jonathan, could you stick around just after this gentleman, or someone? I'd like to, just right after he's finished, I'd like to just make it clear. Okay.
5 minutes. Thank you.
Can I start over?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's okay.
We'll tag it on.
Okay, go ahead.
Matt Faustini, 1015 Lake Palm Drive, Largo. I don't know all the details that happened. I just know that I've known Commissioner Smith for over 15 years. I know what kind of man he is, and I know that I in my life have made mistakes, and we all in our lives have made mistakes, and I hope our police department, who deals with people who make mistakes every day of their life, don't judge someone based on a bad moment in their life and a moment that they regret and are trying to make amends for. That's all I'm going to say on that, and I apologize to our police officers. The main thing I wanted to come up here and talk about was the Alice report. I don't know if the commission has had a chance to look at the new Alice report. It's very troubling. The cost of living is spiraling and spiraling out of control. And some people aren't going to like that I'm saying this, but part of it is because of our consistent wage increases amongst our staff. It is causing this wage price spiral in our community. So right now, for a single adult to meet the household survival budget, just enough to survive, you have to make $41,436. If you are a senior living in this city, to be able to survive in 2023, now this is actually 2023 data, so this will actually be more once we get the updated data, you had to make $46,000 or $46,032. How many do you think Social Security is covering $46,000 a year in benefits? If you are two seniors in our community, you have to be earning $66,348. And worst of all, if you're a family of four, if you actually want to have a family in our community, you now have to make over $100,000 in this county. You have to make $108,480 just to survive. Not even to be a successful, thriving middle-class family, just to survive. We have to stop the growth of government, the inflation. We have to get spending under control. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the cards.
Uh,
Mayor,
Thank you,
I'll meet with them out there, and then
okay.
I'll make my comments at the end.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Could I have the consent docket, please? Actually, I'm sorry. Moving on to the approval of tonight's agenda.
Pull 12, please. Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next is consideration of the minutes from the regular meeting of May 6, 2025.
Move approval.
Second.
Any changes or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Could I hear the consent docket, please?
Item 5, approval of the lease amendments between the City of Largo and Providence Investment Group LLC doing business as Parlor Donuts. Item 6, approval of the lease between the City of Largo and Second Generation Greek Sluts doing business as Strayhan's Ice Cream LLC for a space at Horizon West Bay. Item 7, resolution number 2437, ratifying a federal earmark request through the office of Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna in the amount of $4,050,000. Item 8, resolution number 2439, authorizing an amendment to a grant agreement between the city and the Department of Environmental Protection for $500,000 to reconstruct the McGowan Nature Park Boardwalk. Item 9, approval of First Amendment to Affordable Housing Density Bonus Agreement with 621 Strummer Road Holdings LLC. Item 10, approval of First Amendment to Affordable Housing Density Bonus Agreement with Shady Dell Holdings LLC. Item 11, authorization for additional spending under the annual purchase agreement, bid number 24-B-806, trenchless sanitary and storm sewer rehabilitation in the estimated amount of $864,338. Item 13, authorization to purchase sodium hypochlorite and sodium bisulfite from Odyssey Manufacturing Company in accordance with new Smyrna Beach bid 27-24 for 3 years and the estimated amount of $961,000 for year 1 and up to a 5% increase per year thereafter. Item 14, authorization to amend CII contracting agreement to include additional enhancements to the Central Park Performing Arts Center theater renovations in the amount of $301,005.
Thank you. You've heard the consent docket. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent docket without commission discussion and including staff background provided in the commission packet.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Item number 12, Commissioner Holm.
Thank you. It's the bean counter in me that's coming through.
Well, I'm Shelby.
I know who you
Utilities Director, and I'm joined by Kyle Hicks, our wastewater manager. I'm not sure if you've gotten to meet him yet.
Here's my question, Shelby.
Yes.
Second paragraph, the Department of Environmental Protection is requiring a penalty of $246,785. That's from us, the bad guys. However, instead of paying this amount, the city can choose to complete a project that benefits the environment, such as restoration work or infrastructure improvements. This project's value must be $370,177, which is 1.5 times the penalty amount. Well, here's where my wheels start coming off the rails. Why would we spend the equivalent of $370,000 when $246,000 accomplishes the same goal?
Because we are getting something for it.
Now, wait a second. We could cook the books for $370,000. I mean, when you say we're getting something, we're going to say we're going to do a project and we're just going to send, well, this is how much money we spent on this project, and they're just going to go, oh, okay, that's fine.
They have to approve the project first.
Yeah.
So we did offer something that they have rejected already, but we do have another thing that we do want to propose. So yes, we can go either way. We can pay the $246,000, or we can offer something that will be an environmental benefit, but we would have to spend more. So the city is getting something instead of just paying out the $246,000.
So the $370,000, that's just kind of a winging it? All right, that's what I'm at. Thank you.
Well, I will be back for the project, and the commission does have an opportunity to approve or deny
Well,
the
it's just,
project.
when you read this thing, it comes out so strange, $246,000 and we're dumb, fat, and happy and everybody's a friend. And yet, or you can go the other way and crank up some project for 370,000. There you go. Well, okay, you could do we could do a nice project for 246,000 and pocket the change. It's just 6 of one, half a dozen of another. All right, thank you.
So, to be clear, if we took the first option, that money would go to the DEP, and it wouldn't be ours anymore. We couldn't do anything with it except for pay the fine.
It's just a check that goes to DEP.
The projects that we're proposing to the DEP, are they projects that are on our anticipated to-do list anyway?
They can't be.
They can't be.
So it does have to be a
A new
new project.
project.
It can't already be budgeted.
So give me an example of a project that would qualify. I remember, and I want to say this too, this happened during a month of rain and then 2 hurricanes. Before the wet weather projects, every year we were doing stuff like this. So the sanitary sewer overflows have all but stopped, except for when we have 17 inches of rain in 3 hours. So great work there. And a lot of the projects that were done in lieu of fines back 10 years ago helped us get to where we are now. So give me an example of some of the projects that we might propose.
So one thing that we hope to propose is locking ring and covers that are completely sealed from infiltration. So we found areas that, by mapping, actually Kyle helped with the mapping, that under surge, the manhole cover is underwater and can let water in. Or also, we do feel that neighbors, people in the neighborhoods that are flooding may be popping manhole covers because it's an easy option. If the water's about to come into your house, that might be what you do. So we'd like to purchase and install, and we're working with engineering on a cost right now, to have locking ring and covers. They'd be sealed, but also no one can take like any tools out there and just pop them themselves. That's one part of something that we'd like to suggest. The other part is kind of like an ultrasonic tool that reads from manhole to manhole. It can actually tell you if there's imperfections in the pipe or sediment or grease, so that you're not just cleaning it to clean it, to go back there. You'd be finding out that there are imperfections and sediment in the pipe and you do really need to clean it. So some of our overflows that do happen outside of rain events are typically grease. If it just happens on a sunny day, it's usually a grease overflow.
When I ask about whether the projects that we're planning to do anyway or not, if they're unfunded projects in the CIP, they're on the not allowed list, is that correct?
I'd have to get into
Okay.
detail with them. We do, if we do propose a project, we try to get it very close to that amount. Like I wouldn't try to propose a project that's $1 million
Sure.
to satisfy the 370.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Holmes, did you have?
Yeah, I did. We had this conversation several years ago, and I don't remember, it was the overflow from the golf courses at Feather Sound. And it came back to us that by spending X amount of money to DEP, that was money that DEP was just going to send back to us anyway. Is this one of those?
I'm not aware of that.
Well, we had a big discussion about that because it was the overflow. Feather Sound could not handle the amount of water that was coming in, so that was going out into Tampa Bay, and the plant couldn't handle it either. So it was decided that they were just going to pay the fine to DEP because, and this was the words, I think it was Ketty's guy that said it, that this was going to come back to us because that's the way DEP works. It's a cycle. You pay the fine, but it comes back to you anyway.
It could have been an in-kind project.
You what?
It could have been an in-kind project. It could have been when we did the study to see what nitrogen was removed through the Feather Sound ponds. Does that sound familiar?
I think nitrogen was part of the study on that.
Okay.
But that's my only question. I mean, I'm not looking for a villain here. I'm just saying is, if you're going to give this money to, it used to be, if you gave fines to DEP, it just came back to you anyway. So I don't know, has that changed? I mean, where's DEP get their money from? They get it from fines and they get it from the taxpayers. So do we end up getting it back anyway? Probably. They're not going to admit that.
Do you mind if I add something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way I see it from the wastewater treatment side is, we could pay the FDEP fine, it goes back into their coffers to do, sometimes they give it back to us, sometimes they might not. The project that Shelby mentioned with the manholes is an opportunity, I think, to kind of invest in our infrastructure and help reduce some of the inflow and infiltration we see during storms. As you know, at the treatment plant, we see much higher flows during storms than we normally do. So every gallon that we treat at the treatment plant that we don't have to is some kind of expenditure. So if we're able to reduce those by doing these manholes over the course of that manhole's life, we would get that return on investment as opposed to giving it to the DEP coffers.
But would we be spending the money on it anyway, whether we gave it to DEP or not? It would be part of an ordinary expenditure under environmental services. So
The project we're proposing was not a planned project. So there's that. And I wonder if you're, to give an example, I guess, if we were to just pay the $247,000 worth of fines and then received, say, a resilience grant from DEP, is that kind of what you mean as a cycle? I guess we're not always guaranteed to get that amount, and yeah, it might go to someone else.
Well, but the other side of the coin is $370,000 is a guarantee we're going to be spending it.
That's true.
6 of one, half a dozen of another. So right now we're talking about round circles. So, okay, I'm done.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the settle, I'm on the wrong one. No, I did, I'm on the right one. I move to approve the settlement offer between the Department of Environmental Protection and the City of Largo for unauthorized discharges from August 5th, 2024 through January 17th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item number 15.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Resolution 2438 adopts the fiscal year 2026-2030 capital improvement program. Tonight, I will be providing a brief overview of the capital development process, review of recommendations from the city's Finance Advisory Board that were discussed at the previous City Commission work session, and upcoming utility rate changes as a result of this planning process. The city's budget can be found at the city's website at largo.com/budget as an interactive budget document. The capital is a planning document that neither appropriates funds nor authorizes projects. It is a planning process and planning document that allows us to look across 5 years at projects costing at least $250,000. We start the capital planning process each fall with projects updated and compiled and compiling new project needs through cross-departmental coordination and development. After development, projects are vetted by executive leadership team and other internal stakeholders before balancing each fund, before bringing the proposed document to Commission and the Finance Advisory Board in April, prior to adoption by June 1st each year. All right. At the previous Finance Advisory Board meeting and shared at the last City Commission work session, the board supported the proposed utility rate increases that were included in our long-range financial plan and included in the capital planning process. These were a 5% wastewater rate increase, a 10% stormwater rate increase, 10% solid waste rate increase, and then also the board also supported the proposed funded and unfunded projects recommended in the plan. A review of these utility rate increases that were discussed at the previous board meeting and work session are as followed. For FY26, the stormwater utility rate on average would cost $2.31 per month per customer. The wastewater increase of 5% would cost $2.39 per month, and the solid waste increase of 10% would be equivalent to $2.80 per month per customer. All of these go towards generating the necessary revenues to fund meaningful and substantial capital projects around our infrastructure citywide. They were identified in both this year's capital planning process and last year's capital planning program. The first reading of the rate increase ordinance will be on July 15th, with second reading on August 5th, and public notices will be included in utility bills in both July and August. Following the approval of this resolution, the 2026 projects included in the capital improvement plan will be added to the proposed annual budget, and that is where funding will be appropriated following the adoption of the annual budget for October 1st. With this, staff will be available for questions.
Resolution number 2438, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, adopting the 5-year capital improvements program for fiscal year 2026 through fiscal year 2030, establishing the fiscal year 2026 capital improvement program as the capital budget for the City of Largo, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have 2 cards. First is Matthew Faustini.
Good evening all. Matt Faustini, 1015 Lake Palms Drive, Largo. I sent you all an email, and I hope you took a chance to read it, because it is really, really concerning, the growth of spending. I have here, right here, this is the FY 22-26 Capital Improvement Fund Summary Balance page. The projected capital spending for FY 26 was $17,987,400. What is being proposed to you today is $74,572,400. That is a 314% increase. When we talk about rates, Commissioner Smith asked at a workshop for staff to provide the cumulative impact of rate increases. Staff did not, unfortunately, provide that. So, just doing some quick math while I was in the audience, in the last 3 years, we've increased wastewater rates by 37%. So if this commission was to adopt the recommendation, that would be 42% increase in 4 years. We've increased stormwater 35% in 2 years, and we've increased solid waste 30% in 2 years. This is not sustainable. No one is getting those kinds of pay raises and increases to support this. And it looks to me like a major part of this is vehicle spending that it seems that we got from the American Rescue Act, which to me was a beneficial thing. It looked like we were replacing vehicles, but now it looks like we actually bought extra vehicles. And now we're spending more on vehicles than we originally planned to. Because in FY22, we knew what we were getting in COVID money. So this idea that fleet management all of a sudden popped up as a new issue is concerning to me. This is not sustainable. These rate increases, these tax increases, if we're going to break the cycle of inflation, we have to control government spending. I again urge this commission to support my DOGE resolution and stand in solidarity with the county and the state in working to control government spending. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Greg Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Faustini. That was pretty good. I didn't intend to speak, but Lauser, DeBreezy, Smith, you guys made really good comments in the workshop. And what I find interesting is we need all new garbage trucks. Well, I go into defense contractors and big corporations, and it's all has to do with quality assurance, and they can't meet their quotas because their machine's all junk because they hire cheap labor and they don't maintain them. I spoke to the solid waste manager that you fired, and I hope to meet him personally and do another interview with him. It was kind of interesting. If I went down to the heavy equipment yard and looked at the guys doing the work, I guarantee you they're underpaid, and I guarantee you it's just you're not maintaining them. And he's saying, well, geez, they're all toxic stuff. Yeah, they're made for that. If it has anything to do with hydraulics, especially digital, I could fix this stuff and make it last forever. You're spending money like it's falling from trees. Faustini's right. You need to reanalyze how to save money, how to trim costs, and pay these guys a little bit better down there that maintain these trucks, or let me in. Okay, but the people that are making the decisions, they don't get grease in their hands. Okay, they don't have wrinkles. They don't do dirt. None of them do dirt. None of these performance directors know what they're talking about. Cut costs. This is out of control. Lauser's got the best point, trim that in half from, I think it was 15 to 7.5. Good comments. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you.
That's all the cards.
Thank you. Commissioner DeBreezy.
Thank you. So during the two workshops, I've expressed some of my, concern about, the fee increases. And to Mr. Faustini's comment, when, projecting CIP, when you're 5 years out, it's difficult to predict what's going to be there. And I understand that. But, and before I have two questions, but, in my own deliberations on this, I know that this is investment that's money well spent. In stormwater, we have made improvements in the city that have, I think if during our storms, it could have been worse if we didn't make the investments that we did. I know regarding solid waste, how much that is driven by tipping fees from the county. And, and we've had those conversations. But your comment about this was identified in last year's CIP and, what we're having this year. So, and if I'm wrong, please let me know, because I'm not, as I read these documents. So looking at last year's CIP for 26, the year that we're going into, the estimated, the plan was for $64,256,400. In this year's CIP for 26, the plan is for $74,572,400. So I understand like I said, the further out we forecast, the harder it is to estimate. But we were only talking about 1 year last year, and now we're a year later and we're increasing it by $10 million. If we go to the second year in 27, last year's CIP predicted 46, or planned for, but I don't want to say predict, bad word, was planning for $46,821,000 and change. This year's CIP has $56,440,000, so another increase of $9 million, almost $10 million. So 2 years out from last year's CIP, we're adding $20 million of capital cost. And you don't need to go into the specifics of what each particular project was, but to me, that was the part of what's causing me some of the concern is that we were in a short view. We published this last year to our citizens. They saw the plan, they saw the rate increases, and now we're increasing it by $10 million over the next 2 years. And that's where my, said my heartburn comes from. And so without having to go through what each project that caused that increase, I didn't know if you just had a general comment about what may have caused that.
Unfortunately,
I can go back and look at all the detailed projects myself. I just didn't know if you had any, just.
we can provide a detailed separation of what that is. I'd hate to misspeak.
Okay, I understand. I just wanted to point out that's where like I said, the issues that I'm having with this are.
And I think this is unfortunately a case of me coming in late and my predecessor leaving. So there's a lot of things that I know have changed, but I did not go through last year's budget cycle here. And I would much rather give you a full, complete breakdown without misspeaking, if that is okay.
Understood. I appreciate that. I look forward to it. My second question is regarding rates. And again, I thought about this while we were here, so I haven't looked it up yet. But in the CIP last year, we projected rates and rate increases for the 5 years. And we're doing the same thing in this year, in this CIP. Have those changed from what was predicted for last year or planned for last year? So if last year we said we were going to do 5 this year and now we're doing 15, does anything like that change?
No, nothing has changed from the adoption of the annual budget back in September of last year.
But in terms of the CIP planning further out, so we're proposing increases on all the categories this year. Were the same amount of increases that were in the CIP plan last year? So last year we planned for last year we planned for the year that we're in right now, and we planned for 26, 27, 28. And 26 would have had some increases, and this year is planning for the 26 this year. And you can follow up with me, and I can look it up myself. I thought about this question while we're sitting here. But if, again, 1 year out, if we had planned for increases, if we told the citizens last year, here's our 5-year plan for changes or not changes, depending on what it was, and we've modified that now 1 year out, that brings in the same question regarding just, our fiduciary duty to our citizens, and back to the bigger old comment that I've said in both workshops, that I think this is becoming unaffordable. And I'm balancing between, I think, like I said, capital projects I know are well worth what we're doing. We in the long run, we have saved money, but at the same time, there's 85,000 citizens out there that I'm thinking about. And, when you compile these or, compound these over year, it may be only $90 this year, but it was $90 last year, and and so forth and so on. So it's the changes that I'm having concern with. And so I haven't decided which way I'm going to vote yet. I know this is just a plan, and this is not rate setting. We're rate setting in a few months, or next month or so. So, if the commission comes back and votes differently what the proposed rates are, you will make adjustments to the plan. I understand that. So, in order to keep the ball moving forward, I may vote for the plan, but I still continue to have concerns about the rates. And like I said, and you can follow up with me about changes that may have occurred from year to year. And like I said, I can look it up myself, but I just wanted to express that to you.
So in terms of the actual rates from last year's proposed, yes, the rates that were in the proposed capital plan from last year are different than what we currently have now.
Yes, because at the vote, the rate setting was different, but we also had 5-year out. So the next year, for 26 was what our, was 1 year out. Now we're planning for that exact year now. So, that's that, like I said, that 1 year change or 2 year change that, and as you said, it may have been because you're new and you've got a bigger picture of things, but, if we're in a short range not accurate, then, I want to be able to look at the process more.
The short range changed based off of discussions through commission last year. The long range has not, except for the addition of the
long range has actually gone down, but, a little bit. But it's the short range one, that's the $10 million increase from the plan last year. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe Assistant City Manager Simonis has something to add.
Just to answer some of those questions, Commissioner DeBreezy. So last year when we adopted the CIP, solid waste was at 0 rate increase. Stormwater was at 15% as planned as part of the 5-year rate increase schedule, and wastewater was at 5%. So we do update the planned rate increases 2 times per year. Sometimes, unfortunately, they do have to change. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down, they get pushed out a year. So that's pretty standard in our practice. And before they can get the itemized list of exactly what changed between CIP, if you recall from the work session last week, we did discuss several new stormwater projects that were added, which makes up probably about half that amount. And then we do update cost projections for everything for the CIP and the planning process. So it's going to be a combination of brand new projects, schedule changes, and updates to project costs based on inflation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Holmes.
On the figures that you've done here, I mean, number one, we've all received various emails this week from senior citizens in Largo just asking us, don't approve these new rates. And one of the emails came in, and the guy, I think he was reading my notes, and he said, you know, quit approving all these high-density apartments because there's all kinds of extra costs involved in that, which that's true, you know, make my day. On these projects here, are we increasing reserves on any of these? I mean, I know some of these are new projects, but some of them are existing ones. When you go down to the bottom line, are we upping the reserves year in and year out, or is it maintained status?
Our goal is to reach the targeted level for each fund.
Okay.
That does vary depending on what is approved in the revenue side of things, so the utility raise and also the approval of actual capital projects, the appropriation for those projects. Our goal is to keep it steady and keep it at target, although that is difficult with additional projects and the fluctuation of revenues from year to year. Don't know if that completely.
Well, if the folks, you know, if the town folk want some of these things rolled back, maybe we should ask them, will you tell us which ones you want rolled back? I mean, that's just a smart-ass question to ask. But the fact remains, somewhere down the line here, you know, you got to put the brakes on this stuff. Now, where you do, you're going to have to change the projects. You can't cut the pay. I mean, that's just absurd. I mean, we're in a very competitive market now, but there has to be some creative financing method here where we can, if not stop the annual increases here, slow them down. Somewhere along the line, you just can't keep going back to the folks and just say, well, just get a little more out of that checkbook there. You know, Social Security's only giving them I guess it's what, 4% this year, or 3%, something like that. But even at that, you're still underwater with Social Security. Yeah. But you know, you take the average person in the city of Largo, they say if you want to, I think the average, you need the family of 4 right now, I say, what is it, $83,000 or something like that, you know, in the city of Largo. I don't know a whole lot of people make that kind of money. But anyway, I'll probably have more. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I had the honor to serve on the Finance Advisory Board for a long time prior to coming on the commission. And one thing I noticed early on is that we had relatively flat fees for a long, long time, or very small increases. But I listened to a lot of discussion where we were way behind on our spending in those areas. I mean, tragically behind, and to the point where I was like, hey, we got to catch up, because I don't want my kids and their kids to have to spend all this money. Let's get this done now. It's not going to get cheaper in the future. I'm in the construction business. I can tell you, nobody could anticipate the construction escalation we had over the last 5 years. I mean, I don't think anybody really had that pegged the way it happened over the last 8 years. So for sure things are more expensive, but they're not going to get cheaper. And we're behind, and we have been behind, and in my opinion, we have to stay the course and see this through and get our systems up to date. And maintain the way they need to be so that our kids and grandkids don't have to spend it. Again, I just don't like kicking things down the road for my kids to pay for later. I like to get it taken care of now. Let's get it caught up and fixed and where it should be. my 2 cents. But I do think we do have to watch our spending and everything we do. I'm definitely a fiscally conservative guy, but this area is one that we had maybe neglected too long in how we were catching up. And it's time to pay the piper a little bit on that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
As stated, I kind of thought I was going to see kind of rate what the percentages were at this meeting and where it's going kind of deal. Will I see those at the January meetings?
Yes, sir. We can provide any additional.
The last 5 years, where it's going, the average person's paying off of all this rates each year. If I can get an idea and the percentage of where it's going, I'd kind of be interested in seeing that.
Yes, sir.
So, and I get it's a planning document, and one who's concerned about spending. It's becoming something, and I do kind of agree with Commissioner Johnson. We're kind of behind, well behind, but I kind of had reservations also, and I still do. So I hope I see those numbers at the next one, because I may not support that at that time. So thank you.
Yeah, to be clear, that's the July meeting.
Yes.
It's in January.
Oh,
That's all right. Yeah, and I think that will help us a lot. As has been stated multiple times, this is a planning document, and I certainly understand that we look at this every year going forward. We make a decision on these rates every year. Some years, what was planned was 15%, and we end at 5%. Sometimes we end at 15%. So I hope that we can get a little bit more of that back history between now and July, and make a sound decision and the decision that's best for our community at that point. But I think as far as planning goes, I can be in favor of planning this or approving this CIP with understanding that we're going to look at those rates every year. We're going to look at these projects every year, and that's we have to plan to improve our wastewater system. We have to plan to improve our stormwater system, and unfortunately, we don't have our hands are tied on the sanitary sewer or solid waste. Because where we're taking that is continuing to go up every year by 8% or so. This is a great commercial to encourage people to recycle and reduce what they use and try to create less trash, because every ton, every pound of trash that goes in that green can that we're paying, what is it, $50 a ton now, 50-something a ton, it was $37.50 for 20 or 30 years. And now, to your point about catching up, I think the county's catching up with the cost of getting rid of that trash. So, a public service announcement, try to create less trash. That goes to everybody. Any other questions or comments?
I move to approve resolution number 2438.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next is item number 16.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have a PowerPoint. Let's see if we can just get this. The Community Development Department is requesting approval of the Affordable Housing Density Bonus Agreement for Cypress Grove Apartments to be located at 555 16th Avenue Southeast. Before I provide information on this particular development, I will share a few slides with information about overall housing development in the city, just to provide some context for you. This graph shows building permit issuance for new housing construction over the past 6 years. You can see the dip during the height of the COVID-19 years, which also correlated with double-digit rent increases there in the mid part of the chart. In the past 6 years, permits were issued for 1,590 new homes. After subtracting the number of demolitions during that time, the net number of new homes permit issued was 1,356. Please keep in mind that multifamily developments and townhome developments often take 12 to 24 months for complete construction. So even though this is date or the year that the permits are issued. They probably don't hit our housing stock till a year or two after that point. And of the 1,590 new units over the past 6 years, 85% of those homes are market rate homes. 2% were reserved for households below 50% median income. 5% were reserved for households below 80% median income. 6% were reserved for households below 120% median income. There's approximately 2% extra that were Habitat for Humanity homes that we didn't have income restrictions on, but are likely be in that 80 to 120 range as well. The affordable housing density bonuses provided by the city's development code requires an agreement such as this to be approved by the Largo City Commission. Therefore, a majority of these different housing developments do not necessarily come before the City Commission, so we wanted to share this update with you. So on to this development. Cypress Grove Apartments has requested the use of the Affordable Housing Density Bonus available in Chapter 14, the Affordable Housing Development Chapter of the Largo Comprehensive Development Code. This bonus allows up to the next highest future land use designation if 40% of the units are reserved for households at or below 80% median income and are at least 2 bedrooms in size or larger. It also has a 50-year affordability period with it. The site for this development is 4.56 acres. The base density is based on the residential low median future land use designation allows 10 units per acre, which gets to 45 units. The affordable housing density bonus allows up to 15 units per acre, which would get to 68 units. The development is also using the state of Florida's gray water density bonus, whereby all of the units will be outfitted with gray water systems. The gray water system does add to the project cost, but will also provide a sustainability component to reuse for reuse of water on this property. This density bonus through the state provides 35% density bonus based on that base density. So both bonuses are calculated off the base density and the extra units are added together. So that provides the additional 16 units for a total of 84 units at this site. The agreement tonight is only for approval of the Chapter 14 Affordable Housing Density Bonus. The reason we have a separate agreement for this is because there's annual monitoring requirements and so forth to really make sure that we get those affordable units. The gray water density bonus is included as part of the conditions in the development order through the site plan review process. Here is the site location map for the development. There's a variety of housing types in the surrounding area, including apartments and manufactured homes. This is a draft rendering of the development. The development will have a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The Chapter 14 density bonus requires 40% or 34 of those units to be reserved for households up to 80% median income. The development did apply for the city's Affordable Housing Development Program funding toward construction as well. And in 2024, the Largo City Commission had approved $1.25 million toward the $31.6 million development for this project. And this would come from Federal Home Investment Partnership funding. This development also has several other funding partners, including Pinellas County Housing Authority, who purchased the land and is contributing toward construction, and Pinellas County through their Penny for Pinellas funding, and also they're contributing some of their Federal Home Investment Partnership funds toward the project as well. The planned mix of incomes to be served in the development are 39 units serving 80% median income, 19 units serving 50% median income, and 26 units serving 30% median income. This slide shows the future land use map designations of the subject property and the surrounding properties. Whispering Palms is in red. It's another apartment complex that is commercial general, which allows up to 24 units an acre. The manufactured home park that's in unincorporated Pinellas County to the north and west and also to the south is actually part of one community together. It has a residential urban land use designation. There's a total of 654 units between those two components to that manufactured home park. The subject property is in flood zone X, so it is in a non-evacuation out of our special flood hazard area. This is one component. Manufactured homes are actually in that first level of evacuations, evacuation A. And so part of this goal is also to continue to build housing in our community that is reasonably priced and is safer, especially in wind hazards that we face here in our community. This is the chart that shows the maximum income limits for various income levels based on household size, as well as the current maximum rent limits that are reserved for under this density bonus. So again, this bonus in particular reserves for below 80% median income. So looking at the last line of that chart, those are the maximum income limits in this current year that would be used for this density bonus, and also the corresponding maximum rent rates. The funding sources in this development are likely to have some restrictions at those lower income levels, as well as some rent limits that would span at the lower range as well, so that there is a variety of housing stock meeting different income needs. This site is close to local employers, which also creates opportunities for employees to live in the community in which they work. Here are a few local area employers and samples of the pay rates for those area jobs that could benefit from the additional housing in this area that would be attainable to their income levels. And the timeline for this project, we're looking to get the density bonus approved here tonight. They are in the initial stages of the site plan review process and going to Development Review Committee on June 4th. They anticipate having their development order and getting permits issued by the end of this calendar year, with construction starting spring of next year and completion at the end of calendar year 2027. And with this, the Community Development Department recommends approval, and I am here, as well as the developer is here tonight if there's any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
We have no cards.
Any questions? Any question? You mentioned that it's in flood zone X. Is that evacuation zone X?
No, so the evacuation zone and flood zones are two different, often overlapping. So flood zone X is out of the 100-year floodplain.
Okay.
Evacuation zone covers that area, especially for that level A, but all manufactured homes are in the level A evacuation zone due to the wind hazard vulnerability of them. So that's a little bit different on that, even if they're not in a 100-year flood.
Right, understood. Thank you. Vice Mayor Holmes.
One question. When you look at 16th, the ingress-egress of 16th is Seminole Boulevard.
Yes.
Is there a plan for a traffic light to go in there?
It's a great question. So the city of Largo,
I drove down and I said, how the hell are these people going to get in and out of here?
Absolutely. So the city of Largo has been working with Ford Pinellas and DOT. They've been doing a study along that portion of Seminole Boulevard from 8th to Ulmerton. So to my understanding, there have been recommendations come out for that corridor and potentially looking at different grant opportunities. This development in particular, as with any development in the city of Largo, would have to pay mobility impact fees, which can contribute toward multimodal type improvements within that area of the city. They are also on 16th is a county road, so they will go through that permitting process for any requirements that the county may have. And the different entities also participate in our development review committee, so if there's any comments or items particular to this development, it would be brought forth through that. So there's multifaceted. We know that corridor, there are things that were identified that need some improvements, and that is being looked at kind of on a broader scale, looking for different grant opportunities to improve pedestrian access and so forth along Seminole.
All right, thank you.
A comment around housing affordability. A lot of comments that we see reference the fees at affordable housing developments around the county and the unaffordability of some of those numbers. So tell me if somebody is, and briefly kind of explain how this works, if somebody's at 80% of AMI or pick a number, how do they determine how much rent they pay and how much of that is subsidized by us or anybody going forward?
Good question. So the funding source or the density bonus would put the maximum limits on there. The development itself may pick a lower level. For example, all of our agreements also have a stipulation. They can't charge more than market rate either. These are for the metropolitan statistical area, so we want to make sure it's not exceeding that as well. Typically, the funding sources are more restrictive than the density bonus per se, because they need that extra subsidy to enable to be able to provide those units to that income level. Again, though, the definition, for example, if we have a unit for 80% median income and the person's really below 50%, they can pay more than 30% of their income toward housing if they so choose, but it would still, on our level, be capped at that 80%, so they charge within that. The developments have that subsidy from different developments where they can charge less, and some of them also have vouchers that they can use that helps make up that difference to cover that cost, for providing those units. So the tenant might pay less, and the tenant portion of rent cannot exceed what those maximum income limits are. So if they do receive a voucher, that doesn't go against the development. It just helps make the numbers work for operating costs.
All right, so if somebody is at 80% of AMI and they're in an 80% unit, their rent is going to be based on like 30% of their income, is that right?
So it's the numbers, we use the State Housing Initiative Partnership numbers, the numbers that I showed on the screen, and those, so it provides that range. So it's 30% of the median household in that range that it's used for. It's not on each household's income for that. So yeah, but they look at affordability. Typically what developments will do is put, like market rate might say you have to have 3 times the rent in your monthly income, and they may have some more flexibility to set kind of that floor to make sure you can still pay rent, and then it's affordable. So they'll set what their rent rate is, and then maybe say like a 2 or 2.5 times the rent amount would be your base income needed. So there's usually a range where they can take people for that income level. And I do have the developer here too if he needs to add it. Am I saying it correctly? Anything to add? Okay.
All right, thank you.
So.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Holmes.
On me.
All right. Anybody else?
Was my evil twin.
I move to approve the Affordable Housing Density Bonus Agreement with Cypress Grove Apartments, LLC, and Pinellas County Housing Authority.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next is item number 17.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. Thank you for this opportunity to come and talk with you this evening. We're looking to use some of our capital dollars to purchase a smaller collection vehicle. This vehicle would replace what we use right now as a stake bed truck and manually loading carts and debris into the truck. So we're looking to improve our efficiency as well as our safety out here and provide a superior level of service for the residents through this acquisition. This truck is considerably smaller than our big orange trucks, and we have several areas within the city that these trucks just don't fit, road-wise, width-wise, access-wise. So we're looking to, instead of use, like I said, the liftgate truck, we're looking to purchase something that's allowing us to compact the material, keep it from blowing out of the truck. The other reason is tonight you heard some new properties being developed. Here's one that has 0 lot lines and no place for garbage dumpsters or even carts. So we have to be able to adjust our equipment to the need of the community, and this piece of equipment will help us do that. As you can see here from this drawing here, it's considerably smaller than what our conventional automated garbage trucks are, and it gives us a sharper turning radius. And the other thing is it's a non-CDL truck. And as you're aware, CDL drivers are tough to come by these days, so this gives us a platform where we can bring people in that are non-CDL drivers and hopefully help them get a CDL and graduate them into the larger trucks. I think this is a short video here of one of the units in action. I hope.
Yeah, they were having
very short
video.
Sold.
Try it again.
So this is a smaller truck where our people would feed the material in the back of the truck. It's narrower for our streets and more efficient than a stake bed. The other use for this vehicle would be post-storm cleanup. We had an issue last storm when I first got here with plastic bags of material not being collected initially. We didn't have a vehicle to be able to do that. This will give us that platform to be able to pick up some of those bags that would not be able to collect it with the FEMA material as well. So another advantage. Enough on garbage trucks there. Open to questions.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
We have no cards.
Looks like Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. First, are there any, I see City of Prescott on that. Are there any cities locally around here that use this truck that we know of?
Similar cities, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Dunedin, all have these units as well. Just for that reason, they have alleyways and dead-end streets and things where they can't get the big automated trucks in. They need a smaller truck with a tighter turning radius to be able to get into those areas. So.
Okay, and now, did we go out to look at the other cities, or did we just take, we looked at, use St. Pete as example?
Safety is the big thing, and right now we're picking it up with a lift gate truck and manually loading and unloading this. So we're looking to get away from that and just dump them right into the back of the truck.
Okay.
Take that truck right directly to the incinerator rather than transporting it to our yard on Starkey, unloading the carts, and then reloading them back and returning them to the residents.
Okay, and then one last thing. With comes a new vehicle, it comes new repairs down the road. Are we planning for that down the road?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Repairs?
Repairs and maintenance?
Yeah, repairs and maintenance.
This is just the purchase price. Repairs and maintenance is in another line item budget.
Like, how much are we talking? Like, does staff know how to repair these? Okay.
It's essentially the same truck that we've had before.
Okay.
With the same hydraulics, same movements. If I'm wrong, we have our fleet manager in the back, but before we had a rear loader that we used. This is just a smaller version of it, and it's coming from the same manufacturers we use now to get parts. So that piece is taken care of.
Okay, that's my main thing. I've had some things where people said repairs come along and then nobody knows how to fix.
Understood. And going back to your question before that, Pinellas Park had one, and we did get to watch it in action at several of the events that we take part in there. So,
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Louser.
So first of all, I fully support the purchase of the vehicle. God help that poor guy that has to load those bins in the stake bed. I feel terrible for him. But I think going forward, and to some of the conversation earlier, this isn't an added capital expenditure, something that's necessary. So I would love to see that this probably wasn't planned for when we started adding some density and adding, approving some of the apartment complexes and condos and things like that downtown. Nobody thought, well, gosh, we're not going to be able to get our trash trucks down there. And as we add more density, we're probably going to need another one. We're going to have to replace this one in 7 years. So how do we, going forward, when we do approve these density, these high density projects, ensure that these things are being paid for up front instead of coming out of our capital budget down the road? So, and I don't think that's really a question for you guys as much as it's a statement overall to see. I'd like to see as we go through engineering and permitting, and there's the mobility tax. They look at all these things. I'm curious how this got missed. So I'd like to see it not missed in the future. But thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Holmes.
Maybe we should reinstitute impact fees. We need to sell advertising on these things. I'm not kidding.
I know that, sir.
This is just, we're looking for sources of revenue. There's a source of revenue, and I'll guarantee you'll have companies lined up to put ads on the sides of these things, and that's 100% profit to the city. So you got all kinds of little projects. You could put ads on every garbage truck we have. I don't know why we don't do it. I mean, it's just, to me, that's a no-brainer, because the companies, they'll do it, and it's just revenue in the bank. That's all it is. So I'm all in favor of doing that, and anybody who's against me,
I think it's a pretty good, interesting idea.
there, we got 2 votes.
A second.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I'm just curious, how many cans we have to pick up with a flatbed?
With this unit right now, we're picking up about 85, but with these other developments, we're looking at increasing that substantially. So right now, it's quite cumbersome, these 80 accounts, trying to pick these up with the liftgate truck, and we're looking for an efficient way to get it completed.
Well, I'm assuming you're going to save a whole lot of labor, just, I don't know if it pays for a truck, but it certainly offsets the cost. So, yeah, it seems like a great idea to me. Thank you.
So I had a question. You mentioned alley pickup. There's several alleys in the city that we don't pick up. We pick up out on the main road. Is a plan to transition to picking up in some of these alleys?
No, just the current services that we're offering. There's some gated type communities with limited access, dead end streets, things like that, we just have difficulty getting the truck down. If we did it with this automated truck, we'd have to pull down and then back out and then back down the street to pick it up. So opens us up to exposure to accidents and damages. So the smaller truck can make a U-turn at the end of the cul-de-sac and come back out.
So I had a conversation this morning at a coffee chat with some residents who live in a similar cul-de-sac. They said they see the truck make like a 45-point turn sometimes, depending on parking in that cul-de-sac. And they asked if it was possible to limit parking in the end of a cul-de-sac. And I told them it probably is, especially if the trash truck comes in. You could have a no parking on Tuesdays and Fridays when the solid waste truck is going to come down that road. It might help. It may not eliminate the need for a truck like this, but I think that there's certainly some areas in the city that we should take a look at that. In the downtown area, as more people are parking on the street, more times the solid waste drivers have to get out of their truck and roll the cart in between where cars are. So we have to really pay attention to this moving forward. I am curious, though, with the apartment complexes that we talked about today. I assume most of those have roll-offs or dumpster type enclosures, and I know the townhomes have. They get a side loader pickup on the new townhomes in downtown, and then they have little pads on the east and far west side. It's probably not super easy because those cans are really close together. So I'm curious what future developments you think this truck would most likely be used.
A lot of the future developments are existing newer developments have larger trash compactors, whereas a central collection point for the residents. Some of these that are on postage stamp site lots don't have the access for a compactor or even a commercial dumpster, and that's what's kind of fueling this effort here to get us something to be able to service those zero lot line type locations.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I move to approve authorization to purchase 1 rear loader for the Department of Public Works Solid Waste Division from Municipal Equipment in accordance with Sourcewell contract number 110223-CRB in the estimated amount of $199,420.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get them ads sold.
Next up is review of city attorney, and I believe Ms. Simonis is going to Present.
Come down a little tense.
All right.
Okay, good evening. So this item is requesting City Commission approval of the 23rd Amendment to the City Attorney's Agreement. As you're all aware, Mr. Zimmett has served as our city attorney for 25 years and currently is a partner for the firm Bryant Miller Olive, where he provides the city with superior legal services along with his associates. Those associates provide assistant city attorney services, paralegal services, and coverage for code enforcement, planning boards, as well as the special magistrate. Over the past year, Mr. Zimmett and his team has continued to provide the city with superior services. Some notable accomplishments include working with the Community Development Department on the Housing for All Comprehensive Development Code amendments, preparing the ultimately successful ballot referendum for the sale of 201 Highland Avenue, providing legal guidance on public sleeping and camping regulations, and managing the process for a selection for a new foreclosure specialist attorney. Each year, the city's attorney's performance is reviewed by the City Commission and new rates are established for legal services. The new agreement in the packet outlines the following increases: a 3% increase for the city attorney retainer fee, 5% increase for the assistant city attorney and paralegal services, and a $5 hourly increase for services outside of the retainer. Now, Mr. Zimmett and I are happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
We have one card, Greg Gardner.
This has to deal with Alan Zimmett, and only Alan Zimmett. Largo foreclosed on a elder's home, Marie Adams. She was 72. She lost her husband and her only son in a 4-month span. She had severe cognitive decline. She bought a 4-bedroom home here in Largo. She only wanted to be with her grandson, Keith Adams Jr., and the 3 grandkids. But things went south very, very fast. And Keith Adams Jr., who's a kind of a serial misdemeanor guy, but still worked small jobs, still did something, hooked up with Jimmy Gerard, a middle-level drug dealer. I know him very well, extremely well. And he moved into the house and took over the house and used that house as his stash house. This is what drug dealers do. Along came Elizabeth C., his girlfriend. Along came Christine Hepperly, and they embezzled Marie Adams for $75,000. Long story short, they foreclosed on a house on code fines. That's the only way our PD could solve this problem. Now, I worked with the sheriffs. I see bus. This was a joke. Well, the joke was that Largo PD is protecting Jimmy Gerard because our Albanian cartel is paying about $1 million in cash to look the other way. And the cartel ring operates on my street. So what happened from this was Largo PD looked like they're doing their job and raided the house, but Jimmy gets off all charges, but Keith Adams Jr. gets 5 years in prison. And Jimmy Gerard has a big mouth, and they all have big mouths, or you can just pay them and they open up their mouths. So Jimmy Gerard couldn't help talk about his aunt. Gets him out of his charges all the time. And he tells that she ran for in 22 for an election and she lost. And a few other dynamics. And by the way, this intel went from my cell phone to Sergeant John Wilcox's cell phone in February as preparation for tonight, so that there is an actual trail. We linked that one to one police officer. I can't mention his name, and I can't mention her name, but her first name starts with an A. This links to Alan Zimmett. Alan Zimmett's a high-value player. Alan Zimmett's getting paid about $100, $150 to pay off, and he's also implicating state officials. We had this discussion at Kim's Restaurant. If you want Kim's Restaurant 2.0, we can escalate this to another level, make a lot of people nervous. He leaves. It's retirement time. He's no good. He's trash. And I'm serious. We don't want to go down this road again. 3 officials left in 23 over this. Clean house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the cards.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Do you, what's the total annual increase for legal services, all things being equal?
It is, let's see here.
I had that number.
I have it broken down by month, I'm sorry, hold on.
I thought it was 30. That's okay, we can come back to that. Any other questions?
I move to approve the 23rd Amendment to the City Attorney's Agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
So it was, I think, when you and I met, it came out to about $28,000, so
That's
let's round it to 30. And that's based upon our experience over the last 12 months on the litigation, assuming
Right,
it's
assuming
pretty much
everything's
the same. That's, it'd
Okay.
be about $30,000.
Thank you. Next up is item number 19.
Good evening, members of the City Commission. The item before you is a proposed comprehensive development code amendment intended to correct minor discrepancies and update standards to be consistent with the Florida state statutes and Fort Pinellas countywide rules. In addition to alignment with state and regional requirements, the proposed ordinance seeks to correct grammatical errors, resolve inconsistencies, and remove references to outdated resources. With the purpose of these amendments established, I'll now turn to the specific changes being proposed. Florida House Bill 1285 allowed public or private schools to use certain facilities like libraries and museums without needing special land use approvals. So staff are proposing to update CDC section 6.2 to reflect the statute and allow private schools in all future land use categories except for preservation and transportation utility. Recent state legislation preempted the local regulation of electric vehicles. As follows, staff are proposing to repeal the section of the CDC that required electric vehicle parking and infrastructure for new developments within the city's activity centers and multimodal corridors. In regards to electric fencing, Florida House Bill 535 now requires that local governments allow low-voltage electric fences in any area except for where only single-family and multifamily developments are allowed. The CDC currently prohibits fences with electrical elements citywide. In accordance with the statutes, staff are proposing to amend the section to only prohibit low-voltage electrical fences on properties with residential future land use classifications. Restrictions regarding the strength of the electrical charge, perimeter fencing, signage, and additional locational restrictions are also proposed to be added. The Fort Pinellas countywide rules have acreage and use restrictions for several use types within the office countywide plan map category. This category aligns with the city's residential office general and residential office low future land use classifications. In accordance with the countywide rules, staff are proposing to amend the allowable use table in the CDC to note a 5-acre restriction for residential uses on properties classified as residential office general and residential office limited, in addition to removing temporary lodging uses as conditionally allowed uses in residential office general. The countywide rules also limit religious institutions within the retail and services category to 5 acres. This category corresponds to the city's commercial general and residential office retail classifications. Religious institutions are currently permitted by right in residential office retail and conditionally in commercial general. To ensure consistency, staff recommend they be conditionally permitted in residential office retail as well. The rules also limit manufacturing uses and retail and services to 3 acres. So staff are proposing to incorporate this restriction into the commercial general land use description in Chapter 5. The city currently uses gross site area for density and intensity calculations. However, the countywide rules specify that net land area should be used as it includes the total land area within the property boundaries, excluding any submerged lands or public right-of-way. For consistency, staff are proposing to amend the CDC to replace references to gross site area with net land area and explain how it applies. The CDC does not currently have a definition for marina use types, but there is one outlined in the countywide rules. Staff are seeking to add the definition emulated from the rules defining marinas in CDC Chapter 20 as a public or quasi-public facility for marine transport, respectively, including such terminal, docking, storage, parking, transient accommodation, office, retail, commercial, and eating or drinking facilities as may be directly related or accessory thereto. In terms of more minor revisions, the amendment seeks to do the following. Replace the example site data table in Chapter 3 to more accurately reflect the information needed by reviewers. Clarify that air conditioning units and similar mechanical equipment may be located in rear and side yards but cannot be located in front yards. Eliminate the requirement for a full-scale site plan to be submitted alongside an application for conditional use review. Re-add a provision to allow mixed-use developments to use a proportional split of floor area ratio and dwelling units per acre. Remove the requirement for off-street driveways to be 18 feet wide for small and medium-type housing. And clarify the properties located off a local road in an alley are only provided or required to provide access off an alley if it is improved. Ultimately, staff recommend approval of the proposed ordinance. On May 1st, 2025, the City of Largo Planning Board recommended approval of the ordinance by a vote of 5-0. If approved on first reading this evening, staff anticipate the ordinance will be heard on second reading by the City Commission on June 17th. The presentation has now concluded and staff are available for any questions.
Ordinance number 2025-08, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, amending the City of Largo Comprehensive Development Code by amending various sections of Chapter 1, Code Use and Authority, Chapter 3, the Development Review Process, Chapter 4, Hearing Procedures, Chapter 5, Land Use Classifications, Chapter 6, Allowable Uses, Chapter 7, Special Designations and Overlays, Chapter 8, General Development Standards and Impact Fees, Chapter 9, Access Management, Traffic Circulation and Parking Standards, Chapter 11, Stormwater and Floodplain Management Standards, Chapter 15, Supplemental Standards, Chapter 16, Accessory Uses, Chapter 17, Nonconforming Lots, Uses and Structures, and Chapter 20, Definitions, amending Figure 3-1, Figure 9-2, and Map 7-6 to render them consistent with state statutory requirements and countywide rules, as well as to clarify certain sections, repealing sections 3.7.7.A.7, 3.7.8.A.1.I, 9.55, and 16.12.4.B.12, and Map 7-6, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
We have no card.
Any questions?
I move to approve ordinance number 2025-08 on first reading and schedule the second reading and public hearing on June 17th, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, Mr. Zimmet, do you have anything today?
Just want to thank you for the continued support and look forward to working with you some more. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the good work from you and your team.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holk.
Back at Mr. Zimmet. Look forward to working with you for another year as well. And thank you for your outstanding service to our city.
Thank you.
Also, just a shout out to all of the team members of the quarter. As always, thank you for all that you do, and especially above and beyond your regular services that you do every day. We appreciate you. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
I might take a little longer again. Sorry. I'd like to first start off by saying what the PBA and our officers were here. I met with them and talked to them, and I have apologized. I made a very poor decision on Sunday morning, and I'll talk about that later. But first, I want to start by, I am making a promise that I will meet with them, and I made some poor statements on a social media post that I will correct. I took it down. And I don't want to excuse my behavior. I had notes written, but I feel like this is something that needs to be personal, not note given. By posting that from a commissioner was highly, highly inappropriate. And some of the comments that I saw the next morning were horrible. And to me, that post could put our officers in danger and what they do for our community. And I am ashamed that what happened and transpired, I allowed to happen, and I will take all action to meet with them and show good faith. Their comment was show action, and I will definitely show action. I've started by meeting with the chief today. I had the opportunity to review the video that will be released today, and they are totally correct. It was a horrible thing to post on social media, and like I said, it put them in danger and then showed people that are out there that that it should never have happened. And I totally apologize, and I will work with them to improve my relationship. I've had a great relationship for 13 plus years. I'm so horrified that I've ruined that with them. This happening is the second horrible thing that's happened to me in my life, and I am deeply sorry about it. So when the video is released, I just saw it today. I don't remember anything of it. I unfortunately had gone out with my partner to a gala and had a bad experience there, and unfortunately I had an argument with them, and I don't want to go into all the detail, but unfortunately I went home, took my and I don't want to blame it on that. I took my Ambien, and then unfortunately had 2 beers, and waiting for him to get home, he decided to walk home, which is over 2 hours away, and I was scared. But unfortunately, my interaction with Ambien, once I take it, I have about 20 minutes. That's why I normally lay down in bed when I take it, because of the experience. I don't remember a lot of what happened when I do take it. Unfortunately, this night, like I said, I mixed it with alcohol, and then he got home, and then we had disagreement again, and then about food. And unbeknownst to me, I went into our room and took another one of my Ambiens, and unfortunately drove to a Wawa, and was embarrassed by my actions there. And all I can ask for the citizens in our police department, they were very professional. They did their job. These marks that are in my head were from my learning now, watching the video, and from what I've heard was my own doing. Nothing. These officers done a fantastic job. I thank them for handling it. I expect a lot out of myself, and this was a horrible decision. My major thing was I was horrified to learn that I could have really harmed someone, and that's the part that scares the hell out of me. But they handled it, got me to a facility that I needed to go to recuperate a little bit. The Largo Med got my partner to come get me. What scared me also was in the video, I'm sitting there wondering where my phone is. I don't usually go anywhere without my phone. And my partner was sitting at home. Literally, I plugged it in to charge it. And if you see in the video, I'm actually in my sleeping clothes and in sandals. I made very poor decisions on that night, and I can only apologize to my community and our police department and stick with, I will work and my actions will show that I'm, whatever I need to do to prove myself to them and to the citizens that this was a poor decision, and I can only ask for forgiveness. I've been called a mama's boy, but I talked to my mom after I told her about this, and the first thing she said, "What the hell were you thinking?" And she knows that my family has bad reaction with Ambien, and inebriated is not in my character. And I apologize to this commission and the entire residents of Largo, and especially to my police department. You all do a fantastic job, and I can pray that nobody ever harms one of our officers because of something I stupidly did. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Holmes.
I thought you were going to take pity on your favorite vice mayor.
I can.
Monday, Woody, what time does it start on Monday? Memorial Day?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? 9 o'clock, Monday, Memorial Day celebration, Central Park. It's usually a really nice service that they have out there. I think it goes 9 to 10.
9 to 10,
I
that's
think it's
correct.
9 to 10. Hopefully, we'll see you all out there on Monday. That's it. See how short that is?
Thank you. Commissioner Breezy.
Thank you. Just a quick thank you to the city for allowing me to attend the Suncoast League of Cities Legislative Awards this past Friday night. It was a great time. And hopefully, if you allow me, my wife is watching. Her birthday is tomorrow, so happy birthday to Shannon. And if you're wondering where I am tomorrow, it's probably out buying a last-minute gift. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lauer.
So, first of all, congratulations to our employees of the quarter. Those are some pretty impressive stories. And then second of all, I wanted to put a big shout out to Public Works. They had us out to their rodeo today. I got humbled by some heavy equipment. I took a scorecard, tried. I did get told that I wasn't the worst, but I wasn't very far from it. So for that, thank you. That's an awesome event. And of course, everybody there was, impressed to see the commissioners and the city manager here. So I think they really enjoyed it. It was very well put together, and I think it's great. I mean, if I worked there, that would be an awesome way to spend a day. So, and for a commissioner, that was an awesome way to spend part of the afternoon playing with some heavy equipment. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I just had a couple things. First, the first citizen's comment, I asked if we had the contact information. Could you make sure that we get that?
Yes.
Thank you. And then second, the vice mayor mentioned the Memorial Day ceremony on Monday morning from 9 until 10 at Largo Central Park in the Court of Honor. And then this Saturday is a Saturday evening market at Ulmer Park, and we're doing the Move with the Mayor for this whole month of May. It's really organized by the National Foundation for Heart Disease and Stroke Prevention, and it's really just to encourage people to get out and move, to meet other people, to exercise a little bit for your own health and social well-being. So please join me there at 6:30. I won't make you walk that fast. I'll take little steps if needed. People are like, how am I going to walk with you? You're like 7 feet tall.
Your steps are 3 steps normal, right?
I'm not quite 7 feet tall.
I'd rather have a couple of knees.
But I expect we'll have a nice group out there and just take a walk over to the park and back. Lastly, I was going to mention this, and Commissioner Smith talked about it a little bit, but I've had an opportunity to interact with our police department on ride-alongs and watching our first responders in general when they don't know that I'm watching, either at stores or just interacting with people, and their interactions are always professional and excellent. And I know that Commissioner Smith knows this, and I know he's got some work to do, but you know what you need to do. So, but our police department is excellent, and they do a great job. So that was the last thing I wanted to say. And assistant city managers, I got one on either side, so
Yes, thank you. I also had the opportunity to go to the Public Works Rodeo today. So big shout out to our team members from Parks, Public Works, Environmental Services. They put on a great event every year. I got in an excavator and tried to pick up a softball. They did not time me because I blew through the time very quickly, but it was a wonderful event. So thank you to all the team members for putting that on. And then also on Friday, the 23rd, this coming Friday, we have Largo Live down at Ulmer Park from 7 to 9 p.m. Our band this event is Habitual Storm, and we'll have food trucks. So please attend Largo Live down in Ulmer. That's all I have.
Anything to add?
Well, I can add, we are in budget season officially, so on Thursday, the city manager, assistant city managers, the department directors and assistant directors will all be at a budget retreat working on developing the FY26 proposed budget that you all will receive in July. So if you're looking for us, that's where we are at the library.
Sounds like the Public Works Rodeo is more fun than that.
Way more fun.
Any action items?
The one I had was a request by Commissioner DeBreezy for a detailed breakdown of CIP increases from last year.
And look into advertising on the garbage trucks.
Well, and I think Commissioner Smith wanted something from budget as well.
The percentages and increased costs.
Percentages and increases.
Kind of historic increases over the
Yeah,
last.
we had planned to bring that to the rate increase adoptions hearing because we're going to be producing our rate increases for the last 5 years, as well as the rate increases of our communities, as well as what everyone's proposing for the next year. So we just don't have all of that information yet. So we were planning to bring that to the first hearing in July for you then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.